I'm discussing about polygraphy. The topic is polygraphy. Polygraphy definition. It is a scientific method of detecting deception with the use of polygraph instrument. What is polygraph? The term polygraph means many writings. The name refers to the manner in which selected sociological activities are simultaneously collected and recorded. The polygraph is a recorder of a psycho-sociological changes occurring within the sample bodies as the polygraph examiner asks a series of test questions. Early detecting deception and scientific methods. Trial by ordeal was a form of judgment used by the medieval church to use God's will to determine the guilt of, of or innocence of the accused party. Often, the process was rigged in ways so that the person being judged has no real chance of acquittal. Trial by fire. In trial by fire, the accused was made to hold a red-hot iron bar and carry it to a set distance. If after 3 days the hand was noticed to be healing and not festering, or if the hand was not hurt at all, the accused was set free. Trial by water. Trial by water was another form of torture, like to the story of the Salem witch hunt. The accused would be dropped into a cold river. If the person floated, he or she was considered guilty and changed as a punishment. Ordeal of balance. This is the practice of testing the truthfulness of the accused by placing him on one end in the scale of balance. While the accused was in it, a counterbalance was provided. The accused then stepped out of the scale, listened to a judge deliver an exhortation to the balance, and got back it. If he were found to be a lighter than before, he will be acquitted. Ordeal of rice chewing. In India, concentrated rice was the article chosen instead of bread and cheese to determine a person's guilt or innocence. Guilty persons were not able to swallow single grain. It was believed then that, conscious of their crime and fearful of the punishment of heaven, they felt suffocating sensation in their throat when they attempted to eat. Ordeal of rice water. The accused will fast for 12 hours and then made to swallow small amount of rice soaked in a dark colored water. If this acts as an emetic and the suspect ejects of all the rice, the person is considered innocent of charge. Donkey's tail ordeal. Under the psychological theory, the donkey is placed in one room alone and the suspect is made to observe it. If the donkey cries, the suspect is judged guilty. The broken egg ordeal. The idea that lying produces physical side effects has long been claimed in West Africa. Persons suspected of committing a crime were made to pass a bird's egg to one another. If one of those persons broke the egg, then he will consider guilty based on the idea that his nervousness gave him away. The dry rice ordeal. In ancient China, the suspect was asked to hold a handful of rice in mouth during a prosecutor's speech. Since salivation was believed to cease at times emotional anxiety, the person was considered guilty if by the end such speech the rice was dry. Trial by combat. Unlike trial by ordeal in general, which was known to many cultures worldwide, the trial by combat was known exclusively among the Germanic people. It was used to settle accusations in the balance of witnesses or a confessions. Scientific method detecting deception. The polygraph. The polygraph measures sociological changes caused by the sympathetic nervous system during questioning. In other words, a polygraph is a device that measures a bodily response or records the internal reactions of the subject. Truth serum. A truth drug or truth serum is a psychoactive drug used to attempt to obtain information from an unwilling subject most often by the police, intelligence, or military organization. Substance of truth serum. Truth serum, so-called truth drugs include ethanol, scopolamine, temazepam, and various barbiturates, including the anesthetic induction agent sodium thiopental, commonly known as sodium pentothal. These are sedatives that interfere particularly with judgment and higher cognitive function. Administration of truth serum. The drug is injected hypodermically or intravenously at a certain repeated dosage. Alcoholic beverages. Alcohol in form of beverages may be used a method of detecting deception. Usually, hard liquor is the one preferred, but soft liquor may also serve the purpose. Brainwave fingerprinting. Neuroscientist Lawrence Parwell, who runs a brainwave institute in Fairfield, Iowa, Iowa patented this technique in 1995, which was attracted attention of the FBI and CIA as a better way to detect moles. Development of the cardiosimograph component. Cesar Lombroso, the first person who utilized an instrument for the purpose of detecting deception. Angelo Mosso studied fear as influence in the heart. William Marston developed his own method of reading systolic blood pressure. John A. Larson devised an instrument capable of continuously recording blood pressure changes, pulse rate, and respiration. Development of the galvanograph component. Sticker suggested the use of the first galvanograph for detecting deception based from the works of several predecessors. Veragut, the first to use the term psychogalvanic skin reflex. Development of the pneumograph component. Vittorio Benussi noted changes in inspiration-expiration ratio during deception. Harold Burt determined the respiratory changes were indications of deception. Development of the modern polygraph. Leonard Keeler, he incorporated the galvanograph with the measurement of blood pressure and respiration. Keeler pan- patented in 1939 what is now acknowledged as the prototype of the modern polygraph, the Keeler polygraph. Today, Leonard Keeler recognized as the father of modern polygraphy. Computerized polygraphy. Dr. Joseph F. Kubis. In the late 1970s, Dr. Joseph F. Kubis of Fordham University in New York City was the first researcher to use potential computer application for the purpose of polygraph chart analysis. Dale Olsen and John Harris, in 1993, completed a software program called Polyscore, which used a sophisticated mathematical algorithm to analyze the polygraph data and to estimate a probability or degree of deception or truthfulness in a subject. The Polyscore. The Polyscore is a computerized polygraph chart scoring algorithm that uses statistical probability to arrive at truthfulness or deception. Other date and personalities. 1945. The polygraph was the first introduced in the Philippines at the crime laboratory of the military police. 1950, the National Bureau of Investigation sent Mr. Agustin Patricio to train at the Keeler Polygraph Institute. The human body, the nervous system. Serve as the activator of the body system, the nervous system, through the brain and all nerve tissues receives, evaluates, integrates, and store any stimulus brought to the body from the environment. The five senses, sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. How the nervous system. The objects called the effectors, which are composed of muscles and glands, are interdependent organic body tissues which may pump out chemicals directly onto the internal and external organs to perform various regulatory functions. Two divisions of neurons. Long conducting neurons, the makeup of the peripheral nerves and the long pathways of the central nervous system, and which have long single axon or with dendrites that are usually the sensory motor of fibers. Interior neurons, which have a number of short dendrites and axons, with the latter often giving off branch called collateral in order to provide many connectors and alternative pathways to other neurons. Long conducting neurons that make up the peripheral nerves and the long pathways of the central nervous system and which have long single axon or with dendrites that are usually the sensory motor fibers. Two divisions of neurons. A neuron is just a single nerve cell which has all the characteristics of all living cells in the general and in addition is specialized for excitability and conductivity. How the nervous system, the objects are called the effectors. The skin or the excretory system. The skin is defined as the external covering of the body consisting essentially of the epidermis, dermis, and the corium. The anatomical composition of the epidermis have four layers or stratified epithelium while the corium is composed of connective tissue containing lymphatic nerve ending blood vessels. The basic function of the skin, protection against injuries, parasitic invasion, regulation of body temperature, and aid in the elimination of bodily waste products. Galvanic skin reflex or response. Test record charges in subjects increase or decrease resistance to a constant electrical current generated through the amplifier recording galvanometer and rec- rectifier of the polygraph. Major components of the polygraph instrument. The pneumograph component. The component occupies two upper appends of the instruments which record has the thoracic and abdominal briefing of patterns of respiration. Parts of pneumograph. Pneumograph or rubber corrugated tube is a corrugated and stretchable rubberized tube or apparatus that is to be attached to the subject's chest or stomach or both. Inhalation will cause the tube to stretch and subsequently create an upward tracing or movement of the pneumopen onto the polygraph chart. Exhal- Exhalation are the downward tracing. The build chain. The beaded chain is a freewheeling strings of stainless beads with a hook with fasten the pneumographic tube onto subject chest or stomach. The galvanograph component, the finger electrodes, the cardiograph component. The cardiograph component, this is the fourth and the bottom pen of the instrument. The cardio unit is mechanically operated unit. It is a high pressure system. This is system records changes in mean blood pressure rate and strength of pulse beat by means of a medical blood pressure cuff containing a rubber bladder that is wrapped around the upper arm. The bladder is connected to the rubber hose past a pressure indicating gauge to a very sensitive bellows and its connected lever system that powers the pen. Parts of cardiograph. First, the arm cuff. The arm cuff shall be attached to the subject's arms. Second is the hand pump valve. The arm cuff to inflate in order to produce blood pressures and pulse rates. The third one is The aneroid blood pressure meter gauge measures and monitors BP reading while the polygraphic testing is going on. The chemograph component. Chemograph component motorized mechanism that moves strip chart paper at a specified rate. The current standard in PDD is 6 inches per minute. Through historically, there have been other speeds. How does machine works?